means. Tell him, JFB, what's on the show today?
We got the news, which is quite a bit of news. And then we are talking about the worst factions ever in the history of pro wrestling.
Worst.
Yeah.
Like liverwurst.
I hate liverwurst.
Yeah. Not a fan of it either. That's all we got.
Let's go.
Let's hit it.
Coming to you live from the FN Worldwide Media Studios, located in parts unknown.
It's the All Effin' Wrestling Show.
With your hosts, Canada Dry, and the JFB.
Tell me how it's priced. Tell me if the item is for sale. And tell me.
Good morning, afternoon, if I don't see you till later. Put my supper in the microwave because it's a microwavable Hungry Man dinner. I am, of course.
I love it when the corn gets in the brownie.
Oh, yeah.
It's a corny brownie.
Corn brownie for the win. I am, of course, one of your hosts. I got jazz hands. I am the JFB, James from Boston.
And I'm, of course, the patron saint of all professional wrestling. I am the gingered up, bubbly son of a bitch. I'm Canada Effin' Dry, and a shout out to my good friend, Bad Take Cade. BTC all day, every day. It's a holiday. All right.
I love Bad Take Cade because that guy comes up with some really bad takes. I mean, bad.
But his one good take is he's a Bret Hart fan.
Yeah, he is a Bret Hart fan. We give him that much leeway. He is a Bret Hart fan. So other than that, everything else is kind of fugazi.
Yeah.
We are joined by this gentleman right below us. He's got sunglasses on because he wears his sunglasses at night because he can.
That's right.
That they're also a form of protection, which we'll get into later.
Yes. We're talking about Showtime, Shane. What's going on, my brother? How you doing?
One hurting unit after pretty bad binge drinking over at the Collision and Rampage last night. But apparently I'm Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah.
Oh, he looks just like Wheeler Yuta. I didn't realize it.
He totally does. We're gonna start.
Yeah, my buddy kept yelling when we're in our seats. My buddy's like, "Hey, what are you doing here, Wheeler Yuta? Where's that Wheeler Yuta?"
Oh my goodness!
I love it.
I'm injured. You should have said I'm injured. I can't wrestle.
Yeah, I can't wrestle, bro. Can't wrestle, man. Too much going on. All right. Well, anyways, before we get to our amazing main event segment, talking about the worst factions ever in the history of professional wrestling, we have to get a little side quest. We're going on a little side quest.
But you know what happens with side quests?
What?
We end up saving the frickin' world.
Damn right. So,
And the princess.
Yeah, and the princess. Let's talk about the news. From the four corners of the globe, from our studios to your home, this is FNN, the FN News Network, starring Canada Dry and the JFB. Woo.
All right. So we're talking about princess. Let's get this out of the way early.
Yeah.
we the NWA was at World Wrestling Council last night in Puerto Rico.
Yep.
And we got the best super kick ever.
We're gonna play it for you because it's
Speaking of princesses, we got
Yeah.
the best super kick ever.
there. It is. Oh, the treble super kick, if you will. Holy
And,
cow.
and it's because it's the badass with the great ass. It's just Shane needed shades for that. For
That-
getting
That was one of the most mesmerizing super kick. I'll go with that. Most mesmerizing super kick I've ever seen in my life.
Now, if you're wondering who was the girl in the middle, the badass with the great ass, it's this girl right here. It's Natalia Markova. You might know her. She's a friend of the show. She's on all the time. She is the one who delivered said super kick, if you will, right into the puss, right into the.
It's so funny because you don't even know there's other girls there. Because it's like some other two were there. I don't know who they were.
Yeah. Local
I'm
talent.
gonna have to say, against the Young Bucks, that's a pretty great super kick, and I know Haney would definitely agree that Young Bucks are the best super kickers in the world.
Oh,
You know, so,
Well,
Yeah.
I think we got a new contender with Natalia Markova.
yeah, I'm 1A, 1B. Maybe she's the
You know,
1A.
you have a history of losing to Natalia Markova, so you know.
So let's get to the news.
That took me. That almost went right over my head.
Let's get to the news and let's talk about the heat, legit heat between said Mick Foley and the man who is yet to tell the truth, Hulk Hogan. That's right, they have legit heat. Hogan hates Foley's style. He's always hated his style. When they met, he gave him the cold shoulder. So, you know, it just goes to show you, Hulk Hogan, not the greatest guy in the world. He's kind of a ham bone, if you will. But, you know, I digress.
Him and Ric Flair are just competing for the worst human beings
yeah.
of all of wrestling.
Ric Flair,
Yeah.
you're a bartender in any surrounding contingent 48 states, because I don't think Ric Flair is allowed to fly on a plane anymore thanks to the helicopter. Ric Flair was caught on video very drunk, very inebriated, and taking it out on the bartender and the manager because they wouldn't serve him because he had too much to drink. Now, mind you, his story has changed quite a bit. It was, I wasn't drinking at all, to, well, I had a couple of Miller Genuine Drafts, which is kind of like water anyways, and a couple of
Well,
mixed-
we had Tony Schiavone come out last night at the Collision show.
yeah.
And he says, you guys got to forgive Flair. He's like 90 years old.
That's right. I forgot.
Oh, I love it.
It just never gets old with him, man. It just doesn't end. Like I keep mentioning his Kill Tony episode that he did back in September or whatever. He was lit before the show even started, and I think the show was like 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And first thing he does, he orders a bucket, has a bucket of Modelo sent on stage for him, and it's like the whole time he was like almost looking like he was either passing out or looking at his cell phone or passing out while looking at, like, it was bad.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Way
Like,
way to raise the bar up an inch or two.
the fact
Notice
that the
we
guy
didn't
was
see any
almost,
Woo energy drink advertisements this week.
yeah, there wasn't any at all. But
Not.
you know what, man? It's just sad. Like, for a guy that almost died a few years ago, literally was on his deathbed knocking on the door, and he's still like hitting it hard. And it's not even just like a once in a blue moon. It's still like almost a daily basis. He's drinking 17 cranberry and sodas. So this stuff's going to continue to happen.
Yep. And you know what's funny is, you know, when you're talking about Ric Flair and all the shenanigans that's going on, I totally forgot what I was going to say. Okay, anyways, let's go.
So it was there, it was about to come out, then
It was like, just fell
where
off.
the hell did it go?
So you guys were at Collision and Rampage last week.
Last night.
Yeah, last
Oh,
night.
hold on, we got Jay here representing the Hartford Whalers.
Oh Lord, the Hartford Whalers. God, that's a throwback.
Oh, the Hartford Whalers music. There we go. Hey, Jay, how's it going?
You played that song so diligently, man. I'm impressed with your history of the Hartford Whalers. I don't know whether to be happy or sad that they're gone, man.
Well, Canadians, they got a history with hockey. We just got to know it. It's all up here, baby.
Not just that, Ray Ferraro, it's well loved in British Columbia, was a former Hartford Whaler.
Thanks, guys, for having me on the show. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, what's going on, Jay? How you doing, brother?
Oh, it's a cold day here in central Pennsylvania, but I'm enjoying the topics you guys had mentioned in the chat. I know talking about what some of the worst stables of all time or some of the most mismatched Elgar Baggio, bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, you're welcome to stay as long as you want. If you want to take off anytime, just say goodbye. And if you want to stay, you can stay as well.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Well, don't worry. I won't say anything vulgar. I won't say anything too out of course this time around. I'll save that for the chat. I just will say she's absolutely welcome to hold my Mario Lemieux hockey stick.
Now, Jay is on a no swearing kick, so that fits us.
So let's talk about Danielson. His contract actually ends before All In, and AEW's TV deal actually ends at the beginning of the year in January. So do we see Danielson sign kind of like a Legends contract where he appears sporadically, but for the most part, he's backstage, he's helping them right the ship, I
think he'll probably have a little bit of time away. I think you'll have him. He said he wants his last match to be at Wrestle Dream at Tacoma.
Yeah, makes sense.
So you get his last show in Wembley.
Yeah,
and then you get his last show in Tacoma and Wrestle Dream.
You know what? That was one great speech he gave after his match last night.
Oh yeah.
And he even actually only acknowledged there's 7,000 fans there, but that's a pretty good boast right now. So that's even just him saying the mic, hey, 7,000 fans. Like, it was a very passionate speech. It makes me think that he is going to stick with the company in some kind of role, like a Christopher Daniels role or things along that nature.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have to be at every show, that'll help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you throw him in for like a situation like AEW versus the Elite. You throw him in. He wrestles for a couple months. Boom, he's off TV. He's still doing his production and producing in the backstage, helping with Tony Khan and his booking. I see it. I legit think that should be the case. Lashley injured. For those who are wondering why Lashley did not fight Tama Tonga for the King of the Ring qualifying match, because Lashley is injured and they didn't know about it until Wednesday. That's right. He did not reveal his injury until Wednesday. They had to scramble through Anthony Dawkins into the mix for the King of the Ring. Omega has his surgery coming up relatively soon. This is a bone of contention. The dirt sheets reported that he already had surgery or that he wasn't going to have surgery at all. There's this whole shenanigans going on. Shane from another dimension is commenting on our, I mean, like, what the hell's going on? It's like
he's like, so
so Omega, I mean, I'll say this. We talked about it last Wednesday as well. I think Kenny Omega should retire. I don't think it's worth him having to deal with possibly damn near killing himself.
Well, you don't know what the truth is on this, though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, he knows. Like,
If he could go, I want to see him go just selfishly because he is on my bucket. I still want to see him and the Young Bucks personally wrestle, like, in front of my own eyes when they're like the last few left on my bucket list. But if he's got to go, if he's got to go, I want the best for him and his health, and I don't want him to kill himself. So
that's the whole thing is they got to look after themselves first.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, Jay?
Well, a couple of things. First off, I'm sort of glad that Lashley was, not that he's injured, but I'm glad that he was pushed to the side because I think Lashley needs to lose in big match situations. I want to see Tama Tonga. He was clearly, he can't be losing this early in.
Yeah.
And we're not going to see this new bloodline lose. Angelo Dawkins is a guy that can be taking losses. It's not going to lose steam off him. Where Tama beating Lashley needs to be in a much bigger situation, not a throwaway match in the first round of the King of the Ring. So it actually inadvertently worked out for the best, even though I don't wish injury on any of these guys, certainly not somebody like Bobby Lashley. As for Omega, one thing I will say about him, he keeps things close to the vest, whereas how much is work, how much of this is shoot. And I know I'm with you guys. I want to see what's best for him. If this is the end, his health is paramount. And I know diverticulitis is nothing to mess around with.
Yeah.
Part of me does want to see some of these matches in this storyline with him and the Bucks play out. And part of me wants to see a match with him and Okada here in the United States for AEW in a big money situation. So I'm interested in seeing how this plays out. As for Danielson, I'm not saying it's going to be the same scenario, but I think he re-signs, and I think he's going to take an Undertaker-like role where he takes, these big match scenarios where you'll see him wrestle sporadically. He'll be training somebody next generation and carrying them on. He's AEW for life, though. I think he loves what he does there, and I love how he took on a bit, the leadership role after what went down with He Who Shall Not Be Named. And I think, I think he's just really taken on that role, and after what went down, they need somebody to step up to the plate, and I don't think he's going anywhere.
Good.
Let me say this. This King of the Ring tournament has become the least prestigious tournament in all of wrestling right now.
They've ruined it. They've ruined it, man.
I don't know if you guys heard the news or not, but now apparently Zelina Vega's out and Maxine Dupree is in for that match. So it's become a giant cluster. There's another phrase. It's become a giant cluster. People are dropping out. People are coming in. It's who's coming, who's going. It sort of reminds me of a restaurant on Mother's Day.
We're happy Mother's Day to all the women out there.
Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. You mother-loving mothers. So for those who are wondering if Big Bill and Ricky Starks are ever going to combine back together as a tag team, that answer is no. Official from Big Bill, who's now with Jericho, and Ricky Starks, who apparently is nowhere to be known or seen because that guy's been off TV for about 3 weeks. So
rumor is he's looking at the end of his contract here in June, and he could be headed to the E.
Yeah. I think Starks, Wardlow. I think Starks and Wardlow are probably headed north, to be honest with you guys.
It's looking that way.
And I think Wardlow could kill it in WWE, but I'm not so sure Starks can. I don't think Starks, unless they write for him and get some, because he can't carry himself very well.
They gotta almost give him the LA Knight treatment, like Eli Drake, LA Knight treatment. That's the best. That's the only way. I mean, he's kind of always been that cocky character back when he was in NWA, well prior to the AEW scene. So
yeah, I just feel like he can't do it on his own, write his own shit.
There are some guys that you have to paint by numbers with them, and some girls too. I mean, there's some that can improvise really well. Like Punk can improvise really well. Brian can improvise really well. Sean Ricker, he needs paint by numbers. Ricky needs paint by numbers, but they're really good at doing it. I mean, when you give them the paint by numbers treatment, they have to walk that path, but they walk it exceptionally well. Ricky, if you give him the treatment and let him walk that path, he can flourish at it. The problem is you've got to give him the path and let him keep walking on it and not pull the rug back, and that's been the problem.
Punk, is this guy phoning it in lately?
Oh yeah.
His promos are just
no horrible.
At this point in his career, Punk needs a strong dance partner to go along with him. I think Punk's been phoning it in for a long time.
Drew is doing his side of the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I almost feel Drew's carrying this feud, to be honest.
Yeah. Punk's got his money. He's got the cash. He knows he's pretty much. He knows where he is at this point. You're right. I think he's phoning it in. I think he doesn't. I'm not saying he doesn't care because I think he realizes, look, this is his last chance. He can't screw this up. He can't screw the pooch, for lack of a better term, because there's nowhere else for him to go. Yeah. But compare this to what he did with MJF, and it's just not there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. you look at what he did in his last go around, even in the E, you know, when he was there back in 2010, and it's almost like this isn't Pepsi pill. This is like this is Pepsi Light, Phil. You know,
He's a
Pepsi
Pepsi
Phil.
Zero at this point.
Pepsi Zero, right?
So creative is still coming up with ways to bring back Sammy Guevara. To be honest with you, I don't want him back. I could care less if he wrestles again or not.
He's too unreliable. I mean, he's too much of a liability in terms of his behavior behind the scenes. And there's one thing to be controversial. There's one thing to do the stuff he's done, and a lot of his missteps between what he said about Mercedes in that interview and then the stuff with the Hardys. And, you know, he just walks his own path, and there's a right way to do it and a wrong way. And I think he just does it all the wrong ways, to be honest with you, gentlemen.
And I think the person he's married to isn't helping the situation at all.
Whether or not, you know.
Well, and that's the thing, too. That was sleazeball that him getting together with her, be like, because you know they were probably sleeping together while he was still engaged to the other girl that was with for a long, like for years.
Yep.
So,
Shane, to be honest with you,
right?
To be honest with you guys, I mean that poor girl, she stuck with him. I mean, like, indie wrestling is so rough because these guys and girls will travel roads and make $20 a night, $30 a night. They barely make enough gas. And she supported him through all his on the comeuppance where he was making nothing and was a nobody. And then he trucked her out on TV. They get engaged, and less than a year later, he finds a new flavor of the moment and kicks her to the curb. It was dirty. It was dirty and ugly, and she deserved far better than that.
I agree.
I mean, he did it wrong big time.
You know what I would do with Sammy? I would put him under a mask and make him like a Blue Blazer type character.
They're gonna know it's Sammy Guevara the minute he starts giving people.
No, but that would be the fun of it all. He's like, I'm not Sammy.
Yeah, just like
it would be brilliant.
Hulk Hogan under the Mr. America mask, same thing.
Yeah, like it's like anytime you get hated, you just like, I'm not Sammy Guevara. They would get over.
Yeah. Let's go to Chuck Taylor. Chuck obviously dealing with a major injury. They're saying the injury is legit. There is a possibility he may not ever wrestle again. I mean, this is a guy who was a 2-time Pro Wrestling Guerrilla World Champion. This guy ran Ramshot through Chikara. It's a shame. I mean, it's really a shame. I think it's a shame that his career is possibly going to come to an end. I'm not a huge fan of Chuck Taylor, but you don't ever want to see anybody have to retire, you know, with the exception of a couple of wrestlers.
But I think it's cool that he got to have his last match with his buddy Trent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to say, though, I've enjoyed it. I'm not the biggest fan. His singles work is a little rough to watch sometimes, but he is a great tag team wrestler. Wherever he tags with, he always does a great job with. So,
absolutely.
I will say one thing about Chuck, and, you know, so I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I know this is a guy who spent almost 2 decades toiling in the indies, working for pennies at the dollar. And whether you love AEW or not, bottom line is AEW has given a lot of these indie wrestlers who would have never gotten a sniff from the WWE a chance to wrestle on the highest stage and actually make an honest living. And I don't know whether this is kayfabe or not. I don't know whether this is part of the storyline of Trent turning heel and solidifying Trent's heel turn that he took his one-time best friend out. You know, this could very well be a work. And if it is, this is great. But if it's not, I'm glad that he did get to do his final matches on the highest stage and actually make some money doing this instead of making $25 working in Paducah and Murray and little towns in Kentucky. And he does get to say he won out on top, even if he wasn't your cup of tea. Those who busted their butts for all those years in the indie scenes making nothing and, you know, barely making enough to cover their gas. I tip my cap to them.
Won't cut it.
Yeah, exactly. A handshake and a hamburger. That's what they were making, a handshake, a hamburger. And hey, thank you for your time, brother. That didn't do the deal,
man. Scaffolding onto a table 20 feet from the air.
You know, some of these indie joke shows, they don't even provide water for the talent.
That is crazy. That is insane when I heard that.
Yeah. And that's why if I can give any of these up and coming indie wrestlers advice, you know, which I'm a low schmuck manager in West Virginia, PA, and Maryland, and, you know, Ohio. Be careful what you do for these promoters. You go out there, and I know you want to put it on for the fans, and hopefully you get your YouTube clicks, which do it by all means. don't break your body in half for a hamburger and a handshake for a promoter that would throw you out the back door and replace you in a heartbeat. It ain't worth it, man, because you're a replaceable commodity to these people. You really are. It's just remember you only have one body and one career. Not to go on a tirade. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to go that route, but
you're legit on that.
Hey, that's well spoken, man.
Yeah. So we got a couple other
I've
things
seen-
really quick. Let's go with these really quick. So a fan was removed during Dynamite, or was it Collision?
No,
It was Collision. It was like barely halfway through the show too.
Yeah.
So I
So
was-
Sky Blue was wrestling. This guy was harassing.
oh
her.
no, we're talking about a different situation. Go ahead with yours.
Oh, okay. Sky Blue was being harassed by a very belligerent and extremely drunk Canadian wrestling fan. Where they proceeded, Aubrey Edwards started pointing at security to point at him. He was calling her names. He was just sexualizing her. It was disgusting. He was removed, thank God. But I mean, it threw her off. She was visibly shaken with that man.
Yeah.
So, what is everybody's thoughts on? Does buying a ticket entitle you to be an ass?
I got plenty to say.
We had this convo the other day too, but no, I'll just make it quick. I thought it was absolutely disgusting. The fact that the guy had a kid with her, with him. Sorry, the guy had a kid with him, and if it was a daughter, I feel even more disgusted that he's doing these type of actions. Either way, son or daughter, like to be doing that type of thing, it's pathetic. But yeah, we got another incident that actually happened last night too, but we'll talk about that after.
No, go ahead. Talk about it now.
All right, so we had a guy rush the ring just before commercials.
Oh,
I can't remember who
They
just
took it
finished
off of
winning.
him. The ref started just pounding him.
Good. Here's my perspective on it. You want to enter the ring? You think you're a tough guy? You suffer the consequences. You think you're bad enough to get in that ring? Cool. Back in the day, and God forbid, I know some of you guys don't like Jim Cornette, but back in the day, Cornette would talk about these stories all the time. You'd enter the ring, you get taken aback, and you got handled. Here's my philosophy on Sky Blue. If you have a daughter, would you want your daughter to be talked to that way? If you have a son, what are you teaching your son? I have an 11-year-old son, and I teach him treat him the same way you want your mother or your sister to be treated. Look,
Exactly.
you pay money to go to the event. You boo who you see fit. You cheer who you see fit. I'm a manager. I'm a heel. I've been told, boo, you stink, you suck. That don't bother me. What happened to Maxine Dupree? That's fine. You pay the tickets for that. But you know what? That does not give you carte blanche to talk to these women that would get you thrown in jail nowadays and to sexually harass these women. Okay, that doesn't give you the right. And I don't care how she dresses. I don't care how she shows pictures online. Okay, you act like a grown man and act like a grown adult. And it doesn't give you the right to be a disgusting hog. And there's other things I would say that I'm going to keep it PG rated out of respect to you gentlemen and anybody listening, but it doesn't give you the right to talk that way. You don't know, this isn't an adult entertainment club. This isn't something you'd see on a tawdry site. Okay. Grow up, act like a man, not like somebody that's some kid on
Hey, do I sense a New York accent coming out of you?
New York, New Jersey, brother.
Yeah, I'm totally hearing it.
Yes.
I'm like, these people, the scum of the earth.
Hey, the Italian last name carries on, but I don't have tolerance for this stuff though. These people think because they spend money, they can rush the ring, they can act like they're drunken fools. No, you don't have the right to that. Pay your money, boo, cheer, do whatever you want, but keep it above the belt. Show some common sense.
Now,
So what
the
is no
fans
different
last
than any
night
other
at
event?
Collision, they started saying, "You fucked up. You fucked up."
But it was beautiful
great.
too because they turned all the lights off, but you could still clearly see the security just wrestling, pounding on the guys or dragging them out through the forward seating area. Oh, it was beautiful.
Let's do one more really quickly. WWE has the contract signed. They will keep Raw on USA until January 1st when they officially move to Netflix. SmackDown might also be going to USA as well, as they do not have a television agreement with Netflix, only Raw. So there we go. That's our news. Holy cow. I'm excited because this only means one thing. We have turned the corner, if you will. We're in the home stretch. Not really, but we're motorboating our way through everything. And now it's time for the main event.
gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Now, generally, we like to keep it positive here on the All Left in Wrestling channel.
We do.
But every once in a while, we gotta go a little negative. And this is our show. We call it The Worst.
Yes.
And we come up with something that's the worst in wrestling. And
Yep.
we're gonna talk about
Hey, that's a
the
picture of
worst.
me.
I don't know how we got that. Yeah.
We're gonna talk about the worst factions, the worst stables ever in the history of wrestling, not just WWE, the NWA. Because let's remember, back in the 70s and the 80s, factions meant something. No one ever said the Four Horsemen suck. No one ever said the Fabulous Freebirds are horrible or the Von Erichs. By the way, I watched The Iron Claw last night. First time I watched it. What an amazing movie. I am shocked he did not get nominated for any awards other than Critics Awards for here and there.
We did the best movies last week. You would have loved it.
It was a heartbreaking watch.
There's a best movie right there.
There you go. But you know, it's a shame to see Kevin so afraid to go back home because he was afraid the curse would follow him. You know, changing the last name of his kid, Atkinson, which is their legit real name. But anyways, I digress. Let's get back to the main event here. We'll talk about the worst factions. We're going to do it El Drafto style, which means Canada Dry, you go first. Canada Dry, who is your number one worst stable ever?
All right, so let's just remind everyone that if someone selects them, you cannot select them. There are no double picks here.
No double picks here.
So I'm gonna pick. Let me see from my list here. I'm gonna go from AEW.
Oh,
Ooh.
Factory.
That's a good pick.
QT Marshall and his misfit goons. Like this is like a modern day Job Squad.
oh.
Like
I
these guys,
mean-
these guys are bad.
I mean,
Even though Cody tried to put them over, it was bad.
it was
It was.
horrible. It was absolutely atrocious because it eventually became QTV or whatever they eventually reformatted it as, but it was horrible. I mean, I hate to say this, and don't get me wrong, I think QT Marshall backstage, he has got a great mind for the business.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But to lead a faction is just it doesn't.
No, he's not
His
good on the
best
mic. or
role
anything.
was Cody's buddy. Being Cody's buddy, it was great for him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Jay, what are your thoughts?
In terms of that stable or my pick, look, that stable was brutal. That stable just was, it was rough to watch. And I mean, I guess all of them served their purpose, but I never figured out what that one's purpose was. I mean, I guess not they all fall the same way.
I mean, do they not realize that TV time is very expensive?
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey, listen, they say TV time is money, and that was most of these fall in the category of money wasted. That certainly was money wasted, especially, you know, that I guess it's like trying to give them TV time to get them all on TV, but some just, yeah.
You know what? They were so terrible. I can't even really remember who was in it or anything like that.
Aaron
So-
Solo. It was
What?
that
Anthony
big
Gogo.
who's the sucker. I don't know who he is. So.
But
Wasn't the buddy on
Watson
that?
was in
Wasn't
there,
Allie? Wasn't Allie his girlfriend on that, or am I wrong on that?
This was before the Monster Factory.
yeah,
Or before, no, sorry, the factory.
yeah. All right, Jay, your turn, man. Lay it on me, brother. Who is the worst of the worst?
All right, now this is before Roman went heel and the Bloodline and some of the best stuff the WWE's done in quite some time. There was a stable they put out there specifically in purpose to get Roman Reigns over as a babyface when they were cramming him down their throat. The League of Nations, man. What in the almighty hell was that, man? I mean, you got you had Alberto Del Rio. You had, I believe, Sheamus was in. I mean, their entire purpose was to elevate Roman even more as a babyface. Waste of freaking time. Garbage.
The League of Nations.
You know
And-
They
what?
have some quality wrestlers in there. They just
No, I was the thing. They had a lot of guys I liked because wasn't
Oh, yeah.
Rusev also in it or so? No, I can't remember, but there was all
Sure.
they're all like superstar guys, and a lot of them were ex-champions too. So.
Yeah, Rusev was in it. Sheamus was in it. The quality of the workers, don't get it. Don't, I mean, you're right. The wrestlers were good. The talent was there. The whole purpose of the stable, though, was just complete. Like, they were just there for Roman to run through. It was pointless.
And they got buried pretty good at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, and I mean, keep in mind too that Sheamus was the world champion when this all started.
That's right. He was. Yeah.
the world champion when these shenanigans started. It was Sheamus, Wade Barrett, Rusev, and Alberto Del Rio.
And I'll have you guys know that Wade Barrett was red hot before they put him in there.
Yeah.
Like the Bad News Barrett gimmick was so red hot, and then they gave him the crown
and
and stuck him in the League of Nations and buried him.
You bring up a good point. You bring up a good point, Aaron. Every stable, one of them walks out of it better as a result.
Yeah.
Did any of them leave that stable better as a result? They all looked worse afterwards.
Yeah, Rusev definitely did not do good after that.
Even Shayna Y agrees.
I mean, I don't know where this guy is coming from. Pooh. Okay, I'll give that. It was the drizzling shits. Let's just be honest with you. Showtime. Who is your pick?
I'm gonna have to go with the NWO and WWE, not the Hogan Nash's Hall, the one after that, where they had like Booker T, Big Show, X-Pac came in, and like what Flair was in charge of them or some. Shawn Michaels was like part of it. It was trash.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
God, what were they thinking? I mean, it's interesting because one of my picks is NWO as well, but it's atrocious. I mean, like how they set it up perfectly with Vince McMahon. I got to change the narrative. I'm going to bring in the NWO, and it looked promising at first, but then Scott Hall started falling off the wagon. Kevin Nash was out of shape. Hulk Hogan was just.
They went back to making him Hulkamaniac instead of Hollywood Hogan. So there was that too.
God, it was horrible. Anybody else want to add anything to this atrocity of humanity?
Yeah, they had went to the well one too many times with the NWO. Nobody was interested in seeing them at that point either.
Yeah,
you should have. Sometimes you said it best, man. Sometimes you just got to leave the magic in the past. It's like sometimes stables are like ex-girlfriends that you have magic with the first time. Just let it go, man. Or boyfriends.
Right. Come on, maybe we can make this work one more time, baby.
Yeah, after the 15th go around, exactly. It's like, all right, this was great the first time we went to the prom together. We should just leave the prom in the prom, man. It's just like.
And the worst is some of those are Facebook couples too. So you see them keep putting their back together. It's complicated. Back together.
No, so is together again. No.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't talk to each other in real life. They only comment on each other's posts on Facebook. That's it.
If you don't get to the first anniversary without breaking up a dozen times, and it's probably not meant to be. Just saying. Just saying.
Great relationships end like this. It's like a soda machine rocking back and forth until it just topples over.
I'm trapped.
Yeah, you gotta rock it before it's finally done.
Exactly.
JP is going to enter into this fray, and he is going to go with the NWO 2000.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I think of that.
Oh, Jeff Jarrett, Scott Steiner. I mean, it was the worst thing they could have done to Brett.
Well, get your thoughts. Let him say. You'll get your thoughts.
It was horrible to throw. We knew it was going to happen. We knew he was going to turn heel against Goldberg. We knew it. But to line him up with Jeff Jarrett, Scott Steiner, Hall and Nash, not even close to being in their primes when they were in the original NWO, makes no sense whatsoever. It was a stain on an amazing career by Bret Hart.
Man, did you ever notice anything that had the term 2000 attached to it other than the year was the drizzling shits?
Let me say that. Silver and Black. I thought that was but I thought they were an all-star cast. If Bret didn't get kicked in the head, That would have changed everything. I think that it had potential, but then like what was going on at WCW at that time, that had better potential than a lot of other crap that was going on in WCW at the time. But Brett,
I agree with you, Time. I think that you had Goldberg going around punching vehicles, hurting himself. You had everyone getting injured at the wrong time to end this. Like it could have really worked.
Yeah.
You had that Goldberg injury to Brett. You had Scott Hall relapsing. It was just a shitstorm that couldn't happen. I think it had the potential though.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Eric, Bryce is
Man,
here.
we should get him on. He should drop in and give us who he thinks.
Yeah, Bryce, call in. My God, you're like family already, for God's sakes. Canada Dry, who's
you know his music? God.
All right, my next selection of the draft, I'm going with the Misfits in Action from WWE. These guys, oh my goodness, you had Booker T, G.I. Bro in there. You had
Huge erection.
You had AWOL. I can't even think of all the guys in there.
Yeah, huge erection. Remember?
Yeah.
There's Hugh Morris, Chavo Guerrero, Van Hammer, Lash LaRue. Then of course there was G.I. Bro, and oh my God, Misfits in Action.
And don't forget about Major Guns.
Oh man, just the name Huge Erection was just like the most ridiculous name ever.
That was Vince Russo trying too hard to be edgy, man.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my God, it was horrible. That's just, oh God, someone should have just.
There's a funny story about Van Hammer, man. He's like, he was called like what Major Stash or General Stash or something, and then he pissed and moaned about his ranking was too low, so they upped his name, and it was just a complete nightmare. That old.
He was upset that he was a lower rank.
Oh yeah, he was Private Stash, which is a lower ranking, and then they bumped him to like General Stash, and it was, which the name Private Stash made perfect sense, but that rank sucks, you know.
You know what? That did ruin Van Hammer's career with that stable, but he was great with the Flock. When we're talking about him now, he was absolutely awesome with the Flock.
Oh yeah, the Flock was cool.
Yeah, the Flock was good because he didn't have a major role in the Flock. He was just kind of the heavy at that point.
He was just a dirtbag on the side, just like the rest of the Flock. Like they were awesome though. They were great though.
Let's go to Jay. Jay, who are you taking, brother?
Man, bro, I got to go with the Core. Another one.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about.
They're on my list. Not anymore.
Was Barrett in the Core or no? I can't. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, Barrett was originally wasn't the leader, but he was elevated to leader when the other guys couldn't co-lead.
Yeah,
it made me wonder, man. Who did that guy piss off? He's in the League of Nations. He's in the Core. Like this, like the guy had so much potential to be like this guy could have been a main eventer and WrestleMania headliner, and they stick him in these garbage stables. Like
he started from a stable to begin with. He made his big break to the main roster with the stable.
Yeah,
Nexus,
that was up.
Nexus are against us.
Now I'll tell you, you know, climbing on the back of Jay with his comment, you know, the reason why he got person he pissed off was John Cena. Because
that's right. Yeah. I heard that's the last guy you can piss off.
Yeah. So you're gonna blame anybody. I mean, I know you can't see him, but he's there. It's John Cena.
Yeah, it's actually right here.
Kush. How you doing?
How's it going, guys?
Hey,
did anybody pick? I know y'all talking about the worst factions and stuff right here, so I told you I was going to go ahead and chime in. Did anybody happen to mention that one group, man, that was on SmackDown, the first brand extension, who were riding on lawnmowers called Mexicools?
Yeah.
No, dude, they're on my list. Oh, I had a whole big.
Here's the problem with the Mexicools. You had three of the most fascinating, amazing luchadors. You had Juventud Guerrero, you had Psychosis, and you had Super Crazy. You had the buildings of guys who could work a match, and you made them come out in jumpsuits and lawnmowers.
Yeah. Dude, I was another Vince McMahon's racial stereotypical ideas right there. Was that?
Now, I don't even mind those things that they're doing with them.
I
But
mean, the
if you don't
Lawnmowers
win,
was cool.
if you don't win, you're shit.
And they
Their
did
old
win.
slogan used to be like called "We're not just cool, we Mexico."
It reminds me of
Definitely
that
memorable
movie
though, nonetheless.
Remind me of that movie Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and Johnny Depp had that one line: "Are you a Mexican or a Mexican?"
And they were Mexicans.
Anytime you can say that to Danny Trejo, man, that's a life to live right there.
That's
Mexico.
damn true, man. Yeah.
Let's go to Shane. Shane, who are you talking about, brother? Who's your next pick?
Well, you know what? Since we're gonna keep bringing up NWO, I'm gonna have to bring up NWO B Team. What they remerged the white and black with the red and black when they did. All the All Stars went to the red team.
Yeah.
And pretty much all the jobbers, and they literally couldn't made it any clearer on the show. Like, yeah, these guys are just the job. Even the fact, sorry guys, where were you? We forgot to pick you up in the limo and things along that nature. So
I gotta say that of all the iterations of the NWO, that probably is one of the worst factions within the NWO. I don't like a faction within a faction. I don't like the idea, which is interesting because one of those is on my list, but it's just atrocious.
well, that's what's killed Bullet Club now. That exact thing has absolutely destroyed the name Bullet Club over in New Japan now for that same reasons. Yeah.
Which brings me to my pick, House of Pain or House of Torture. So how in the world? Okay, so I get it. You have Bullet Club, which was one of the most over factions of all time. We've had multiple episodes where we've talked about the best factions in wrestling, and Bullet Club is inevitably always uttered. But then you had the Elite, which was a subsect. Hard Family Office yet? No.
That was a Hard Family Office.
I don't know.
That sounds like an adult movie.
Leave it to Eric to bring the porn into it.
Yeah, you had Evil, who was at the time the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Champion, and then you
Badass looking one.
Dick Togo and Yujiro Takahashi and all these other guys, and they had one run, and that was in the never open weight 6-man tag division. That's it.
Isn't Jack Perry considered?
No, yeah, he's part of House of Torture. Yeah. So, but I mean, like you had Tama Tonga, the Firing Squad, which was actually not bad. I mean, it was, but again, you can't subsect a faction. It doesn't work. That's like, because that's a sign you're over bloated. When you have 65 people all recognized as being a member of Bullet Club, you have to subsect that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Asinine thing I've ever seen or heard in my
That's exactly what happened to the NWO. Like, that was a perfect damn comparison that's turned into those things.
All right, you get ready for my pick here.
I'm ready. Do it.
All right, you ready? Because this faction, I guarantee that you can't remember more than one person in it.
Okay.
The Oddities.
Oh God. Oh God.
Now,
I was eyeing them up too.
Kurgan
Oh, me too.
is the only guy I can remember in this faction. I don't know what the Earthquake's name was in this, but
Golga.
I can't
Golga.
remember.
yeah, there you go.
You know what?
That's how bad it was. You didn't know who Earthquake was.
That's what depressed me was how John Tenta got his final treatment in the WWF. Like that
Walking
was
around with
depressing.
Walking around with a giant freaking Kurgan or not? What is it? Eric Cartman doll. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the mask on. The fact that Vince put him in a mask too.
Let's see what Kush has to say about this.
And that's what's funny because that's when I knew about the oddities and stuff, but like you just said, I only knew like one or two people and stuff, man, like Luna being part of it, Kragan. But like I said, I was always wondering who was that guy, man, that's carrying Eric Cartman, doll and that stuff, and I didn't know until watching Dark Side of the Ring that was him.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what the funny? You know what the funny is? Thing is, Giant Silva wound up fighting in Pride. If you guys follow MMA at all,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, it was atrocious. The oddities was just. I
Oh,
mean,
and then they had the Insane Clown Posse connection too. Some people
remember
that
that.
watch the show will hate me, but I can't stand the ICP. They are the worst trash freaking group of all times.
And this
what I
was
think
Dylan
of ICP.
Callis' group. Don't forget.
Don Callis was the original leader.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah. Don Callis was the original. He left and they became faces when ICP decided to jump in. And I'm with you, Shane. I do not understand the Insane Clown Posse culture. I never have. I've been to one of the wrestling shows. It is, you are literally surrounded by people in clown makeup. And for me, who's afraid of clowns, I was terrified. You got
I
a
will be in
whole
a Rat Clown concert.
Fanta, Fago, whatever they drink. My God, it's insane.
So we got Kush with his next pick. We'll make it 3, even though he's this is his 3rd pick, even though he just got here.
Have anybody talked about shoot, I'm trying to think. Oh, that's that one group I was thinking about back in WCW with GI Bro. Was that? Did anybody mention
we
that?
got Misfits in action.
Yeah, Misfits in action.
Okay.
We're gonna start running out of bad groups.
I got a list here. You need me to message you.
All right, let's get Kush for a sec. We'll come back to you.
Get back. Yeah.
Let's go to Jay.
There's 2 that are right off the top of my head. I don't know which one to pick here. All right. I'll pick this one because they were just absolutely atrocious shit. They were pushed as main players, which I can't emphasize how good the NWO was at the beginning because they saved WCW. Man, Dungeon of Doom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like you're talking a bunch of characters that look like they were straight out of some poor script from the movie Halloween. The fact that we had Brutus the Barber Beefcake main eventing pay-per-views as a Zodiac, his entire character was saying yes and no. Like they had a damn They had that War Games, right? And his character gets put in a submission hold, and the referee couldn't figure out whether he was tapping out because he was saying no and yes the entire time. Like. Garbage. Yeah, it was bad, man.
Destroyed Beefcake's career.
Yeah, pretty much. And then that's like we talked about John Tenta being Golga. They stuck him in this as Shark. I mean, an Avalanche. It's just awful. And it was pretty much anybody that Hogan wanted to bring in, his old buddies from WCW to put over that could put him over there, were lumped into this stable. It was terrible.
Oh my God, I can't disagree with that at all. That was atrocious. It was. Oh God, it was horrible.
Dungeon of Doom was brutal.
Yeah.
These guys were positioned as main eventers. That's the sad thing. That's why I'll say anybody that pops out
to have Hogan roll over them. That's all they were about.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And you remember that one War Games they had where it was Dungeon of Doom, and then they had Zeus and Jeep Swanson and Lex Luger. They practically had half the damn WCW roster get beat by Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. It was like, my God, this is terrible.
Was it that triple cage? Like the first time they used the triple cage? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't stress how bad WCW actually was then.
Kush, you got your pick yet?
Yes, sir. It's kind of funny because this group was actually mentioned though, man, lately on Raw this past week from CM Punk, man, to Drew McIntyre, and I feel like y'all know where I'm going with this. And that's when Punk was really like, so punking him out, calling Drew McIntyre the worst member of this group, none other than the 3-man band.
Yeah.
I knew that was going to get picked. I knew that eventually they were going to be picked.
This is the worst idea. You know what? Boy bands are really hot. You know what we need to do? We need to make a boy band.
It's funny, like they had all this matching gear ready to go. They said Drew said they got tights to match each other, but WWE's like, no, we're gonna put you in these leather pants instead. That's how the Claymore kick got invented by accident. It was because of him trying to do a drop kick, and he could
The funny thing is, the funny thing is, 2 of the 3 of them became world champs too. That's what's the most funny of it all.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. All right, Showtime Shane, lay it on me, brother.
Oof. It's gonna get harder now. I just had the name in my head, and now that's. I just pulled what you pulled earlier. I'm gonna have to go with the I don't even remember what they called them in WCW. Like Raven had like a newer flock where it was like Vampiro. And speaking of ICP, like somehow they all just joined this weird group, and it didn't last long. It was only like a few weeks. It was right before Raven's contract expired, and he went to ECW anyways. So I think it might have been like they called it the flock. I can't remember, but I just remember they were trying to rehash.
It was so
Yeah, they lasted a slightly less than the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. Like, just
pretty much. Yeah.
Oh my God, you're right. I mean, the sad part about this is that Raven is probably one of the smartest guys in professional wrestling.
Oh, hell yeah.
And they saddled him with so many horrible gimmicks. Johnny Polo, this monstrosity of a faction. Oh God, it was horrible.
How about when him
you know
and
what though? Like Vampiro's still one of my I'm not gonna put top 10 but I love Vampiro. I always enjoyed his work over the years.
Oh yeah.
So just like Raven.
Yeah.
But it was just a stupid faction, and especially throwing those ICP punks. It was, and then I can't remember. I think there was one or two other people. It was just so piss poor managed.
It was.
I want to know
How about
who
when-
JFB's picking.
Oh,
So go ahead, Jay. What do you have to say, Jay?
how about when him and they bring in Sandman, brutal, bitter rivals in ECW, and they have them be a couple of rich next door neighbors that are the best of friends? Like, what the hell are you two thinking
that
here?
was weird.
And then Hack's dating his sister or something along the lines, or it was weird.
Chastity, who's an adult entertainment star. They bring her into some rich snob girl too.
Oh, this was brutal. This was horrible TV. I deleted this from my memory when you brought it back.
Sorry, bro. Sorry about that.
Sorry,
you're officially banned for a week from the show.
Oh, darn it.
See you next week. See you next week.
See you next week. I'll see you next week.
My pick is going to be what could have. You know what? No, I can't justify it. I was going to say it could have been a great idea. It wasn't. It was Aces and Eights from TNA.
That's cool.
It was horrible. Basically, they built this group up. They weren't overbloated. Taz was Devon was the leader. Taz was the bad commentator for Aces and Eights. Bully Ray was on there. They tortured Hogan and all this stuff. And then they kept losing to the Main Event Mafia. And I just felt like, when you have Eric Bischoff's kid as being a bigger name than some of the other guys that were wrestling, that's pretty bad, because I'm not going to deny the fact that Eric Bischoff's kid is the hot drizzling shits. That kid could not wrestle to save his damn life.
I don't even remember who the hell was this kid.
It was Bischoff's kid. It was another wrestler's kid. It was Taz.
Wes Briscoe.
Yeah, Wes Briscoe.
Yeah. Like, it was just atrocious. It was horrible. Like, I get it. You got to set up a faction for the Main Event Mafia, but come on. Like, within
And
weeks,
they're going up against Nexus at the time in WWE.
yes, yeah. Canada Dry, your turn, my friend.
All right. We're going with the Social Outcasts.
Oh,
I really like these guys to begin with, because they were the classic, and they won a few matches, but then they were quickly buried.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was Rose and
Dallas and
Curtis
wasn't
Axel.
Bo-
Curtis Axel. I don't remember who. Was it just the three, or was there someone else?
No, Heath Slater was in there too. You'll notice
Oh,
Heath
yeah.
Slater was in a lot of shitty factions.
Yeah. Heath Slater's the king of shitty factions.
Yeah, it's just like him and Barrett are like tied for being stuck in a bunch of shitty factions. And they were in a bunch of shitty factions together too.
At least Wade Barrett led a couple of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Oh, Kush, you got one for us, brother?
Yes, yes. I know that there hasn't been very many female factions and stuff around, and one that definitely come to mind and stuff, man. I hate to say it. Thanks to Canada Dry, man, for the assist of it. Talking about the Social Outcast. What about the Outcast from AEW?
Yeah. that kind of blew up in their face pretty quickly.
Tony Storm, I mean, like I said, they had a good thing going on with Tony Storm and Saray and all them. It was nice because they both were, world champion material, and with the X Factor being Ruby Soho. But over time and stuff, I mean, they were doing the same stuff, trying to become the bullies of the women's division that didn't have a lot of women for them to bully. And also they kind of imploded to where Tony was looking more like Marilyn Monroe before she started the beginning of her run, man, being timeless. And good thing for her, man, doing that, because she's now going to bigger things and become the face of the women's division.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the Outcasts when they were going. It's unfortunate that they ran out of steam and ran out of people to write L's on. But I enjoyed them at the time.
That had a ton of potential for sure.
It definitely did. It did have a lot of potential.
Yeah, it was a blown opportunity for sure. Let's go with Jay. Jay, who you got, brother?
All right, I'm thinking of another female faction. I can't remember the name. It was AEW, but it was that one with Brandy Rhodes. They had Awesome Kong in it that's it. The one that they had that girl shave her head and then they never used her again. Mel.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And then it was so bad that they even said, "All right, this sucks. We're killing it." Was it Nightmare Collective, right?
Yeah. Yep. Awesome Kong, Mel.
Yep. Awesome Kong. Yeah, that was when AEW was hitting on all cylinders, which is what I started respecting. They even admit, okay, this sucks. We're killing it. That was bad. That was real bad.
Yeah. Oh God, Shane, lay it on me, brother. Who you got?
I'm gonna have to go with. It was pretty brutal. Like, wrestling was pretty brutal during the COVID times. And they had to give us one of the worst factions of all times during the COVID times. It was supposed to be a knockoff of Antifa.
Yep.
Retribution. Oh my God. Yeah. That is the biggest pile of shit that Vince McMahon and his freaking company has ever freaking. I don't know how I didn't even put them first. I should have picked them first, but I guess just, I wanted to get the NWOs out there. So.
Oh God, it was atrocious.
It didn't do nobody in there any favors, especially Ali.
Yeah, if your leader is Mustafa Ali, you got problems right off the bat. Major problems right off the bat. I mean, this guy is not well liked amongst the boys.
Mercedes Martinez, man, she did herself a good favor by getting out of that after a first month or so in. Yeah, she's like,
I'm going to the hell with this.
I'd rather go to developmental than even have to deal another day or something with this crappy faction. No way.
Yep, I'm going to ROH.
Let's go to mine. It's funny we bring up Brandy Rhodes. I'm going to bring up her husband, Cody Rhodes. At one time, Cody Rhodes was saddled with some of the worst gimmicks ever in the history of wrestling. He wasn't always the American Nightmare. He was also a part of the Cosmic Wasteland with him.
I saw this earlier. I was checking.
This only lasts like a couple weeks because I barely even remember this.
It was because right after they formed, they released the Ascension. After they formed this faction, they release.
That's just like Randy Orton with FTR. Like, literally, he loved those guys, and they put them together, and then boom, they go release FTR a few weeks later.
Well, to be fair, FTR was begging to be released.
Yeah, they were. They were doing everything in their power not to be re-signed by WWE.
Yeah, that's true.
But right now, Triple H is kicking his ass because of his father or father-in-law.
All right, I got my last pick here.
Do it.
We're going with the Job Squad. Baby. You gave it to him. You literally referenced them after your first pick.
I mean, I gotta say, with the exception of Al Snow, you're right. The rest of that faction was not very good. I mean, I love the Blue Meanie and I like Stevie Richards.
Yeah,
but Hardcore Holly's a stiff asshole. Let's face it. He was always stiff. Yeah.
It's a great name to even insult yourself. We're the Job Squad. We do what we're told.
And then I forgot they had Gilbert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he won. He won a belt while he was with them. I mean,
they have the light heavyweight title.
Yeah,
the light heavyweight title as a Goldberg knockoff. That was beautiful.
The best thing of that group. That's saying a lot.
All right, Kush, lay it on me, man. What's your last
pick, Kush?
Did anybody mention about Pac-Man moving on from DX and creating this little 3-man team called the X Factor?
Oh,
That
no.
was quite
That's
cool.
I mean, it's literally named after him, called X Factor. I knew he had to be the leader of his own group right there.
Yeah.
I mean, swap bunch of guys that probably were real cool in the back, but yeah, they were like 3MB before 3MB was even thought of. It was just sad.
You
They
had
had that
Just
Uncle
Incredible, you had Albert.
Yeah.
They had that Uncle Crocker theme song too. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Then you have
did.
Yes.
you have
I still got that theme
X-Pac,
song too.
you have X-Pac, you have Credible. They got this personality, and you have Albert that has the personality of a wet pencil. I mean, it's just like,
But you know what? I honestly myself I like Credible and I like X-Pac, knowing that they were kind of like the click, but unofficial click. Well, X-Pac was click, but Credible was kind of the.
he was like the stepbrother of the clique. He was like the stepbrother of the clique.
Now, you know what would got over? If every week they shaved a new X in Albert's back with all that back hair.
but one thing I remember the most, man, about X Factor was kind of had Xbox a spins when Edge was kind of branching out on his own, and he said, "You know what? Hey, 1998 called, man. They said they want you back."
I wonder if Marvel didn't even like that they were stealing the name either.
No.
Oh my God. All right, let's go to Jay. Jay, who you got, brother?
All right. I'm going to throw another Don Callis led faction in there since the oddities were mentioned. Truth Commission.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah, they were just another one. It's like what they had: Tank, Kurgan, Recon. Yeah.
Oh God, that was a
Oopstain.
It was so bad. It was so bad. It was so bad. I mean, to this day, I still don't understand what the point of the Truth Commission was. Like, I just don't.
They were similar to Right to Censor, but not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're supposed to be a militant group or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, it was horrible. Shane, who you got for your last one?
Ooh. My last. Oh yeah, I'm surprised I actually didn't even pick them way earlier. Spirit Squad. How the hell did nobody?
Late round steal. Late round steal.
How did nobody pick Spirit Squad this whole freaking time? That's beyond me.
Wow.
I
was waiting for you to
told
pick
you that
them.
was
That's why I didn't pick them.
I'm sure I told you I was going to pick them, and I completely forgot about
waiting.
it.
The Spirit Squad, when the only person to ever come out of the Spirit Squad was Dolph Ziggler.
No, but the thing was, it was Kenny. He didn't even get the big name. He didn't even get the lift from it afterwards. Kenny Dykstra somehow was the one that got the build
Broke
after
out.
Spirit Squad right away. And that once they realized he was a cocky idiot, they said that he went to TNA, which he pretty much pulled the same crap over there. But then he did hit up. He did hit up MILF Mickey James, so there was that.
Hey, I will tell you though,
James hit up everyone.
Mitch did get with Tori Wilson for a few years, so he won at life, man. That don't stink.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
He's a backstage man producer now too in WWE, so he ain't doing that bad. I guess he knows something.
No, true.
All right, I'm going to go with the last one. I'm going to go with another TNA stable. Coincidence? No. It's called Immortal. Jeff Hardy going heel with Hulk Hogan, Bischoff, Abyss, and Jeff Jarrett. This abomination. If you want to know when exactly TNA hit rock bottom, that was when they hit rock bottom. Immortal was horrible. It was just, it should be.
You know what? I can't even see any of these guys even getting along in real life.
No. No. There's no getting along. These guys were horrible. Horrible.
The only one I could see getting along with any of them is Jarrett, because he tends to get along with just about fairly everybody as long as he's got his stuff in order. But yeah, Jarrett and Hogan hated each other. Yeah, it's the rest of it. Yeah, match.
Yeah.
Oh God. All right,
I
guys.
think we're missing a pick from Jay. I think he didn't get his pick in.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got
All right.
Truth Commission.
Yeah. You got
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
I'll throw an honorable mention if you guys want.
do it.
All right. So there's an unethical phrase. There was a women's stable in WWE. It's an unethical phrase for backstage. I'll tell you about it after the show. They had a group of that Italian, a couple other girls, and it was called the Welcoming Committee.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was gonna damn yes, yes.
That lasted. I think it lasted a fart, and then it was done. Yeah, it's and I think it's a
The
terrible
whole
phrase
reason that-
backstage. It's not the nicest phrase to use about women backstage because there's like not the nicest. But yeah, that was pretty bad too.
The whole reason why they even had that group in the first place is just to welcome Charlotte Flair from the draft. That was the whole purpose
that's
of that
right, yeah.
faction.
So that was the
You're
women's version of the women's version of the one I said at the beginning. League of Nations.
I know you're talking about.
yeah.
All right, guys, that's the end of our show. Holy cow, we laid it on thick. It's all sponge cake and icing right there, baby. We're talking about tons of delicious frosting. So, as always, we're going to go ahead and give our flowers. If you want to support us in any way, shape, or form, all the links are down below. All you got to do is just click on it. Write us a big, fat wrestling check. Write us a comment, send us a couple bucks. It all goes to server fees, getting people on, printing up t-shirts. Speaking of t-shirts, that's the one way you can show how much you love us is by wearing one of our shirts, one of our tees. Now, you can go ahead and get the original. Talk about the Foxy middle fingers. Talking about the All Effing Wrestling shirt, this show that we are speaking of. All of those you get at prowrestlingtees.com/effing wrestling, where you can get things like the Shades of Excellence, or you can go ahead and get Sharpshooter Action. All I got to say is
We're a bunch of Bret Hart marks here. So
we like Bret Hart quite a bit. Now, if you want to support old school wrestling, and I know that you do, watch The Dark Side of the Ring. He had an episode on last season. We're talking about the adorable Adrian Adonis. And the only way to support Adrian Adonis is by going to prowrestlingtees.com/Adrian Adonis. Here. Whew, man, I gotta fan myself after that one. Here we go. On behalf of Canada Dry, on behalf of Kush Money, on behalf of the Hartford Whalers for Life, Jay, on behalf of Showtime Shane, I am and always will be the JFB.
and he thumbs himself down again. Remember, guys, that life is hard. It's not always easy. You get knocked down. It's okay to be down. It's not okay to stay down. Raise your fist in the air and say it with me. Put the devil in a sharpshooter and just keep fighting.
Bye.
Woo! Hit it.
Bam.
This has been an effing worldwide media production. You can find us on all social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and others. Head over to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/effing wrestling. And while you're there, click like and subscribe. Want some swag? Head to our store at prowrestlingtees.com/effing wrestling. You can find all these links and much more at our awesome website, effingwrestling.com. As the JFB always says, you can book it.